Oh, boy, another week. Hey, folks. Thank you for downloading yet another episode of the Retro Gamers. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
What's up, Ant?
The usual West Coast troubles.
The usual thing, as we're Skyping here and it's bright outside there. So it's already
that's very the other
dark
thing.
over here.
Like, right now it's still daytime. It's still hot out and the sun is shining.
Oh, don't even tell me about heat over this weekend. Good Lord. But, all right, cool. Well, we're back for another rousing rendition here, and we're going to get right into it. We're going to start, as we do every episode, just curious, Shining Force 2. Did you play it? Where are you?
Yes, I made some headway.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, so, I'm getting super close to, the final battles, but now I'm at this point in the game where there's this little side quest you can do with your weapons, and what you do is, throughout the game, you collect mithril. And we all know if you watch Lord of the Rings, mithril is like this super tough rock armor type, that you can make into armor. So you collect this mithril all throughout the game, and then right before you go into this, the big final battles, you find this dwarven community where they'll take the mithril and soup up your weapons.
Oh, okay.
But the problem is when they soup up your weapons, it's what you get back is random. Oh. So it can be something from a common weapon, or which is powerful, or you can get a super rare weapon, which is ridiculously powerful, and those are the ones you need for the final battle. Yeah. So since I've waited long enough to play this game, I'm all right. So I want the super rare ones. So now I'm stuck in a loop of going in, having them make this weapon, and then if they give me a bad one, I restart the game, go back in.
God.
And,
I'm doing this. You reset it and restart your save?
Yeah, I just restart my save, go back in, have him make a new weapon, because I want the powerful weapons. I'm because odds are I'm never going to play through this game again. So, I'm just saying. I
agree with you.
It's just that there are so many retro games to play. So now I'm just trying to build up my weaponry.
Okay.
Before I go in for the final 3 or 4 battles.
Okay.
Smart move. So I've definitely made headway the last week or two.
Good.
Which is nice.
The longer you take with that game, the longer I have to start Castlevania 2, so take your time.
Yes, I know that, I know you're eagerly awaiting that.
So, a couple weeks ago, as everyone knows by now, I'm in New York, Anthony's in California. A couple weeks ago, I attended the second annual Long Island Retro Video Game Expo, and picked up a lot of cool stuff. We talked about it. I had a video on YouTube and stuff like that, youtube.com/more365. But it just so happens that California decided to have a an expo inside of an expo or something like that. But you eventually stumbled upon a retro gaming expo.
Yeah, basically, and anything New York can do, LA can do better, apparently.
Ooh,
so,
all right.
Stick that in there. So last weekend I went to the SoCal, or Southern California, Retro Gaming Expo, and it was in City of Industry at this location called the Frank and Son Collectible Show.
Oh, okay.
And so this place is kind of set up. It's kind of set up like a flea market. So it's always there, and they're always selling. Everybody's got a booth there, and they sell different things. And I saw stuff from video games to music to a lot of magic cards, a lot of comic books. I saw a booth that was all Disney pins.
Oh,
from
really?
Disneyland and Disney World, so you can go there and buy any pin you're looking for.
Nice.
So just literally everything. It was pretty much like a flea market for nerds. So, and then in the center of it was the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo, and that section you actually had to pay a fee to get in. It was it was $10 to get in. But it was right in the middle of this place. So the cool thing is finding this place was awesome, because every weekend now it's if I ever want to go back, I can, and they have this whole collectible show set up all the time.
Oh, I thought it was just one day.
No. The Retro Gaming Expo was a 2-day event, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, I gotcha.
But the Frank and Son Collectible Show is open every week, Wednesdays from 3 to 9, and then Saturdays from 9 to 5.
Okay.
So you can always go back to that portion of it. The Retro Gaming Expo, though, moves around. So So I went down to the Retro Gaming Expo, get in there, and they kind of run it a little like, almost like Comic-Con-esque in a way. So you had an area where there were all booths, and people had their booths set up with all their retro games, and you know, you can walk into each booth and check it out. And I saw everything from, you know, the Odyssey to PlayStation 4. So yeah, like there were people selling the Odyssey. I saw somebody walking around, and I asked him. I said, you know, he had bought the Odyssey, and I said, dude, and it was in the original box. And
Holy
so I just asked him. I was like, I just want to know. I go, how much did you pay for it? He's like, I think he paid like $750 for it.
Oh, okay.
But he's getting
box.
You know, I think it was like 1971. Yeah. So you're talking about like a 45-year-old arcade system or a video game system in its original box.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was just like the tip of the iceberg, like the things that I saw there, because people had like boxes, you know, Sega Genesis in its box, you know, NES, just you know, you name it, they had it. Games from the ultra common to the ultra rare. You know, I had sent you a picture because I was like floored by the fact that somebody had an NES game called Stack Up. I had never heard of the game before, but apparently you used it with the Rob robot.
Yeah, it was one of the first games. It was with Gyromite. It was the other game, but before we get into the reason why you sent it to me, I think like Gyromite, when you put Gyromite in and you booted it up, it wasn't the start screen wasn't Gyromite. I can't remember the name of the game, but they called it something different. God help me if I can remember it right now. Robot something or
I can't remember. All right.
Well,
look it up.
We'll Google that in a moment. But Stack Up did the same thing. But yeah, when you sent me the photo of Stack Up, and I'm going to look this up in a moment, I was a bit perplexed, if you will. So why don't you tell the world what was going on with Stack Up?
Well, this one booth had Stack Up in its original box, and it was going for $550.
There you go.
And the funny thing is, that wasn't the most expensive game I saw there.
Oh, no?
No, and I can't remember which game I came across, but somebody had a game, original packaging. It was NES, but it was $1,200.
Wow. Holy cow.
And I can't remember the name of it for the life of me.
An original NES?
An original NES game in its original packaging, and he was selling it for $1,200. It was mint. Yeah. So, just circling back a bit. So, yeah, so they have like kind of like a Comic-Con setup where there were a whole bunch of booths. Right when you walk in, there were arcade games that you can just walk up to and play. You didn't have to pay for them. So they had Miss Pac-Man, Centipede, Donkey Kong, the Simpsons game.
Oh, sweet.
I don't remember if I saw the X-Men game. They had the Terminator game, you know, the one with the machine gun.
Oh, yeah.
They had that one. So, yeah, they had all these arcade games that you can line up and play. And then off to the side, they had a DJ with live music, which was great because I was recovering from a migraine, so that went over really well. And then behind that, they had two halls. One was like Hall A was considered the vendor hall, and then you had Hall B, which was a console play area. So they had consoles set up, nice. And then you can play there, and then they also held tournaments.
Okay, that was kind of like mine on Long Island. I just didn't really spend that much time to play the tournaments, but still, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I didn't stay long enough for the tournaments either because my head was splitting in half. I mean, I stayed a couple of hours and I did some shopping, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But then there was a Hall C, and Hall C was the panel room, and they actually had panels of different, different retro game podcasters, or I don't know if you want to call them like retro game celebrities, but like people that are online that do stuff. So, for example, there's these two guys called the Game Chasers.
Oh, yes, I've seen them on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah, so their names are Billy and Jay, and they had a booth outside in Hall A. But they were at one point they had a panel, and they were just talking about their show. They were selling seasons of their show there too on DVD. But yeah, so like they were just in there talking about they were talking about collecting games, and people would ask them questions about that and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever heard of Andre Meadows. He does Black Nerd Comedy.
Sounds familiar. Yes.
So he does a lot of like geek retro stuff. The reason why I know him is because he's a huge Power Rangers fan. And since I worked for the brand, previously, he used to always go and host Power Morphicon, which is the Power Rangers convention that they hold every year. So he was there as well. And then just a bunch of other places like the Gaming Historian. There was the
I think when you sent me
Pro Jared.
Oh yes.
Jared is. Pro Jared was there.
Pat the NES Punk.
Oh, here's my favorite. Phil Moore was there. Phil Moore, if you don't know who that is, was the host of Nick Arcade, the game show on Nickelodeon.
Oh my god, that was his name, Phil Moore?
Phil Moore was his name, and he was and he was the host of Nick Arcade.
Oh
now,
my god!
I did not see him. And I would have loved to go up to him to say, dude, I wanted to be on the show, but I was like already a teenager at the time. And I couldn't be on the show. But just the fact that there was a game show about video games was awesome.
Nick Arcade ruled.
I loved that. I loved that show. I really did. I didn't care that I was adult. In fact, I have a funny story about that too. So my roommate in 2002, Frank, he was the first roommate I ever had. And he had set up, and way back when at the time, we would still record off the TV with a VHS because DVRs weren't,
way back when. We're in the 2000s, and that's now way back
early
when.
2000s.
Good Lord.
So this was like 2002, 2003. And so he had set up the television to record he had set up the TV to record the NHL draft that day because he wanted to come home and watch the NHL draft after work or something, or he had something that day. He left a note on the TV saying that he had recorded it. The note. So I come out of my room early that morning, and I also had to go to work that day. But I had like a half an hour to kill. The note fell off the TV. So I sit in the living room and I switch to Nickelodeon because Nick Arcade was on. I was like, wow, I think this was like a Saturday. So I watch some of Nick Arcade until I have to leave, and then I shut the TV off, I get up and I leave. I come home. He starts screaming and cursing at me, and he's like, he's like, I set up a tape to record the NHL draft. I get home, and what do I find? I find 6 hours of Nickelodeon. And I'm doing a I'm doing a PG version of this. It's like, what the hell did you do? Why did you do that? I was like, dude, I didn't see your note. Your note's on the floor. Did not notice it. So because of Nick Arcade, my roommate could not watch the NHL draft.
Yes. I remember hearing that story. It's as funny now as it was when I first heard about it. I'm sure it wasn't funny when it happened, but still.
Oh no, it was hysterical to me. I laughed. I laughed about that.
And we may actually have him on in a future episode. We may be able to hear his side of that story.
And I'm sure that'll be entertaining nonetheless.
Oh my gosh! But Nick Arcade. I wonder if they did do a live Nick Arcade or something like that there.
I don't know.
Because at San Diego Comic-Con, they did Double Dare. So.
Oh yeah, and I heard that Mark Summers wants Double Dare to come back too. So who knows? Maybe that'll happen. They're doing a special episode. I did hear about that.
Did they already air it?
Oh, did they? Then never mind.
Maybe, I don't know.
So getting back to the nice sidetrack.
Nick Arcade, yes.
So I mean, there were probably a good, I don't know, 40 to 50 vendors there. So yeah, I mean, there was a glut of stuff there, and people had things from, like they would have a bin where it's like, oh, all of these games are $5 or $10. So you go through those, and then they had other ones, obviously other ones. There was one guy who only had like maybe 30 games on his table. Okay. But they were all pristine condition in their boxes, and they were all expensive. The guy, I believe you talked about him the last time. The person who does the video game covers and puts them, frames
the silk screen,
silk screen, he was there too.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yep. Yeah, he
had a lot of good stuff. He had a lot of very nice stuff.
But I saw a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of Famicom, Super Famicom.
Really? Lot of Japanese? I didn't see much Japanese at my show.
There was one guy who had just like a slew of Japanese games.
Really?
Just, like, sitting on this table. Yeah, it was actually really amazing.
Well, that's cool.
And, for anybody who's listening to this podcast. I didn't post any photos or video up yet, but once this drops tomorrow, I'm going to post some videos to go on, more pictures than video, but I'm going to post some images from the actual, expo.
Facebook.com/Retro Gamers Podcast.
There you go. Free plug.
On our own show.
I was just going to say on our own show. I mean, this whole show is a plug.
All right. Well, I mean, that sounds a lot bigger. Your show sounded a lot bigger than my show. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of it, because you did send me photos, but photos is one thing. We're Skyping right now, so to see it in person, what exactly did you pick up at the old convention?
Okay. So I went the nostalgic route. I mean, there were specific games I was looking like. I had gone there specifically to find Tecmo's Deception for PlayStation, because I've been looking for that game for a while. I'm sure I can find that on eBay if I look. I might as well. But it's just a PlayStation game, and I've talked about it before on the podcast, so I won't talk about it again. But it's just a game I've been looking for, and I haven't found it. And it's not a great game. It's just I like the concept of the game so much I want to own it again. So I decided to go the nostalgic route, and I basically went shopping for games that I had a personal connection to. And also, games I had a personal connection to that weren't so heavy on the wallet.
There you go. Yeah, that helps too.
Because
so no stack up.
No, no
stack up.
No stack up for me. Even like Nightmare on Elm Street, like I went looking for a Nightmare on Elm Street NES game, and there was only one guy who had it, and it was just sitting out by itself, just the cartridge itself, and I think he wanted $35 or $40 for it. And I thought about it for a while, but then like I remember seeing it on eBay for like $40, but with the box. So I'm like, I'd rather get it with like my thing now is like, ideally I would like to get the game with the box. That's what I would love to collect. Mm-hmm. So I specifically went nostalgic, inexpensive, because like I have a bunch of games already, but now I'm starting a new direction with my collecting, and I want to try and get boxes. So it was, it was nostalgic, it was boxes, and it was inexpensive. So I wound up walking away with 8 games.
There you go.
So, since it's retro, I'll start with the more recent ones and go backwards.
Sweet.
So the first ones are, and this ties in hand with the podcast we had last week where we talked about wrestling video games. There were a ton of wrestling video games around, but the ones that I found in their boxes are, to start with, the WrestleMania arcade game.
Oh, nice. Look at that. Again, he's showing me right now on Skype. That's Super Nintendo. Wow.
Yeah, so this is WrestleMania arcade game for Super Nintendo.
That box is like clean looking too.
The box is in excellent condition. It actually has it has its plastic.
Oh my god. Does this person even play the game? And the instruction booklet. There you go. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah,
wow.
So to me, I mean, I originally thought maybe this was like a game from like a video store that the guy got, but no, this looks like something that was personally owned and never touched. There were like,
honestly, look at that.
There were no flaws in the box whatsoever.
None whatsoever. That is ridiculous. You better get a. Oh, there it is. Never mind. You got one for it. No, put it in a sleeve.
Came in a plastic sleeve. And
actually,
you get these appraised now.
I was going to say you can grade them, because I saw at the show I was at, I saw some graded. Yeah.
Yeah. So Super Nintendo, I got WrestleMania Arcade, and then the other Super Nintendo game I got, which is also wrestling themed, I got WWF Raw.
Oh, nice.
Which was my favorite one from the Super Nintendo era.
Yep.
And this box does have a little, like, it looks like it was a video store or something
definitely
like
video
that.
Store,
so
yeah. That's all right.
So there's some, like, there's a label or two stuck on it, but otherwise, again,
very clean.
It's in excellent condition. Yeah. I think I only paid, like, $15 for it.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And the WrestleMania arcade game that was in perfect condition, I think, was only 7 or 8.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
What's wrong with these people out there?
I know. So here's
marijuana's legal out there, right?
Cartridge has a label. Actually, it does have a barcode on the label, so I'm assuming this was from a
that was
video
definitely
store.
A rental, yeah.
Yeah, but also instruction booklet.
Clean, too.
In excellent condition. So... and the cool thing is about this is, like, I already own this game. I already own Raw for Super Nintendo, so I'm just going to swap out,
Yep. I don't blame you there.
Mine, because mine's in better condition.
Yep.
So, and this one came in a plastic sleeve also. So the wrestling route was an inherent theme, mostly because, these were so affordable.
Totally.
So now the only Super Nintendo wrestling game I'm missing, or WWF Super Nintendo game, is what was it? Superstars? No.
Royal Rumble.
What was the other?
Do you have Royal Rumble?
Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm missing two.
Oh.
I'm missing box wise, I'm missing Royal Rumble, and then I'm missing
Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Raw.
I thought it was Superstars or something like that. It only had 8 guys. It had Survivor Series in it. Jake the Snake.
I think you're explaining WrestleMania.
Maybe.
Yeah, there was Royal Rumble,
not.
WrestleMania, and Raw. I think those are the only 3 of them.
No, there was one more. I believe it was called Superstars. Or was it Super WrestleMania Challenge? Was that it?
Maybe.
Super WrestleMania?
No, and Super WrestleMania didn't have a sequel. Well, they did have a sequel. It's called the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, WWF Super WrestleMania for SNES, and it had Legion of Doom, Sid Justice, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, Macho Man Randy Savage. That one.
That's the one. Oh, you showed. Okay, no. I'm sorry.
I showed you WrestleMania,
the arcade game. I apologize. All right. No, but still. Okay, cool.
So anyway, continuing on. Continuing with the wrestling theme, this guy had a bin, and all the games in the bin were $10.
Are you kidding me?
And they were in boxes. Most of them were in boxes. So I went through and I wound up buying 3 from him. And every time I was like, okay, I'm going to buy these 3. And he's like, all right. So I paid the $30. And then he kept trying to peddle more. He's like, well, look at this 720 box. It looks really good. And I was like, no. I was like,
maybe a nice box, but it's a crappy game.
Right. I was like, I'm just buying games that, that I'm interested in. So then I got the original WrestleMania.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Nice.
Again, box in really good condition. And it also has the cartridge and the instruction booklet.
That is
which
sweet.
Is great.
Boy, that medical marijuana goes far out there with these cheap prices.
Not to bore everybody who's who's listening to this. That's it for the wrestling games. So following that, I went the old school sports route. And if anybody who knows me knows that I only like one sport, and it's hockey. Love hockey. So I picked up Blades of Steel.
Nice.
And again, box is in awesome condition. Cartridge looks good. Again, this looks like a rent. This is a rental from a video store called Video Grand in Pasadena, which I can only assume is out of business. This one did not come with an instruction booklet, but again, for $10, I thought this was way worth it. I loved Blades of Steel. Best
that game was
hockey
awesome.
Game.
Oh yeah, me and my cousins used to play Blades of Steel I think it was the only NES game they may have owned. Played it all the time. Actually, just downloaded on the Virtual Console recently.
Yeah, and then this one I specifically picked up from the same guy. This was an NES game my dad was obsessed with, and it was Top Gun.
Oh yes, mine too. My father loved that game.
Yeah. Now I particularly didn't care for the game because there is a little tear on the back of the box.
Oh yeah,
here.
I see that now.
But
okay.
otherwise it it feels good in terms of the box itself. This one comes.
Feels good all over my body.
This one, oh yeah. This one comes with a sleeve, and the cartridge looks great.
Wow, cartridge looks really nice.
And the instruction.
And there's the instruction booklet. Yeah. Son of a gun.
So. Yeah, my problem with this game was always I can never refuel the damn plane. So I would only get to level 3 because level 3 was when you had to start refueling the plane, and I could never line it up properly, and then I would always die. So I would get fed up.
My dad nailed that landing first try because he was in the Air Force.
Oh yeah, because they had made the game exactly like the way you would.
Pretty much, yeah.
My dad was in the Air Force too. Maybe that's why he liked it so much. And then. Following that theme, now, I don't know why I bought this one because I never owned it before, but since I bought the first Top Gun, I thought it would be cool to buy Top Gun's second mission.
There you go.
Never played it,
neither
but the box is in perfect condition.
Yeah, that is. Wow.
There is nothing wrong with this box whatsoever.
Is there a sticker on the front? It looked like there was a sticker on the front.
No, that's the official Nintendo.
No, not that one. On the Top Gun logo. Nope. Hold it up to the camera.
It just says second mission.
Oh no! It's an airplane right there on the right side of Top Gun.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So again, it comes with the game is in perfect condition, and the instruction booklet hasn't even been opened. It's still in plastic.
I don't even remember them coming in plastic.
Yeah, they used to come in plastic.
Holy cow!
Yeah, because they're flimsy. They didn't want them to get damaged.
Boy, these are so far. You've only shown, what, 6 of them so far. And every one of them, even the one, Raw. I mean, the cart itself, all right, fine, it was a rental and everything, but still.
Yeah, but Raw I think was honestly, I think Raw was the one in the worst condition out of everything that I bought.
Worst condition, but still decent.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that all of these games I'm talking about are, at least 25 years old, I want to say, or 22, 23. And that's minimum. I mean, like WrestleMania, I think came out, was it 85? No, 88.
Oh, 88.
88.
Yeah,
so this one's 28 years old.
Good.
But I'm not done yet. So then...
But wait, there's more.
Right. This was a game my sisters and I were obsessed with, and it was an old board game on the NES called Anticipation.
Yes.
And you know what? It was only like $9. I was like, what the hell? I was like, because I love this game. And again, box is in great condition. Really no complaints here. The cartridge itself, the sticker, pristine.
Yep.
And the instructions
there it is.
In plastic.
Let me see that cartridge again. Wow, look at that. Holy cow. Do you know a fun fact about the Anticipation box? Can you take a look at it for like just a few seconds, see if you see anything different than any other box?
Nintendo's first video board game, party fun for all ages. It has a bunch of people. Like, what I love about it is there are a bunch of people playing the game on it, so it looks like they're having fun. Party fun for all ages.
Yes, look at this. That is 80s at its best, or 90s, early 90s. Probably.
I mean, the clothes they're wearing are just priceless. I mean, it looks like Patrick Duffy is like right.
It does. How many controllers? Does each person have a controller in their hand? Because there's way too many controllers.
No, there are only 2 controllers.
Okay.
The way the game was played, though, is you can play with 4 players, and 2 people shared a controller. So, like, for one person, you use the crosshair to ring in, and then for the other person, you use the A or B button to ring in. So now,
I'll tell you about
the story about this?
The Anticipation box game, I believe, is the only box where the Nintendo seal of approval is on the back.
Oh, and there it is.
Yep. So there you go. Fun fact
let's see
there.
if you're correct about that. I'm looking at all the other ones.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now because he did send me a picture of it, and all the other ones.
Yeah, and you are correct.
I am correct, sir.
Okay, and then last but not least, I saved the oldest for last. So, Atari 2600, to my recollection, was my first video game system. And there was a guy selling a bunch of games. Most of them were in television, and I never owned it in television. But he had in television games in their boxes. Some of them sealed, which was awesome. But one of the games I remember playing incessantly, and when I say playing incessantly, I mean when I wasn't playing it, my father was playing it. When my father wasn't playing it, my sister was playing it. When my sister wasn't playing it, my mother was playing it. It was just one of those.
It's a family
games.
affair.
It's a family affair, and the game is Asteroids.
Oh, look at that.
So this game is 35 years old. It came out in 1981.
Good Lord.
And I found this guy selling the game in its original box. Now, granted, the box does have a little wear and tear, but it wasn't
36 years? Go right ahead, yeah.
Yeah, after 35 years, I mean, this is still pretty damn good condition.
Very good, yeah.
And Asteroids was a super common game, so the game itself isn't really worth anything. And I already have, and to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure I already have 2 copies of the game. So I bought it specifically. I paid the money for the box. That's what I really wanted. But he was selling it for $6.
Oh my God! What's wrong with you people out there in California?
So I picked it up for $6, and so I open it and I get the cartridge, and the cartridge has perfect condition. The label's fine, and so is
good.
The manual looks like it is untouched.
I think you're the first human fingers to touch it. Good, look at that.
Yeah,
not even a break in the crease.
And the thing about Atari games, which I always loved, is because the graphics were so poor, they sold, and there was no online to research anything like that, of course, but they sold the games based on the artwork on the covers. So they would make the artwork on the covers as exciting as they possibly could be, because that's what would ultimately lead you to buy the game. On the back of the boxes were really just the game description.
Oh yeah, look at that. There's no game, no showing of the game. I never noticed that.
No, they did not show games originally, so it was all about the artwork on the cover because the graphics were really, really simple.
Yeah.
And then when you went through the instruction booklet, obviously, if you look in the instruction booklet, they have the same cover art. But then when you go through it, it's like, then there's more artwork inside.
Oh, look at that. That has nothing to do with the video game. Okay.
Has nothing to do with the video game whatsoever.
It's like a comic book.
And then eventually you get to the actual images in the instruction book. But, because, if you remember Asteroid, you were a little spaceship in the middle of the screen, and then you would just spin around and you would shoot the asteroids before they got to you.
Yeah.
And then this was something interesting that I didn't know about, but if you look in the back of this, there were programming instructions that had a game matrix. So apparently there was a way to program certain things into the game. Yeah. So for example,
probably with the switches. Remember the switches on the Atari?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would tell you here, it tells you how to read the game matrix, speed, slow, and fast. So it'll tell you extra life, one extra ship for every 5,000 points, one extra ship for every 10,000 points. So it would tell you how far you had to go based on the matrix to get an extra life or to get an extra ship or something like that.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. Or how to get shields, or how to hyperspace, all these kind of things. It was, so because that was the only way to do it. And of course they gave you, helpful hints because there was no internet.
I was going to say, spin around in a circle and shoot.
And that was literally the last game I purchased before I walked out the door. I just happened to do one final walk around because I was like, all right, let me do one last walk around before my head dies, and see if there's anything else. And I saw this sitting there, and I'm like, I can't walk out without it. I would have loved to have also picked up another game that my family loved to play, which was Missile Command. That was another one we were all obsessed with, and unfortunately, I did not run into that one. But at the end of the day, I wound up picking up 8 games, all of them that I had some type of connection to, all of them boxed, almost all of them with the original instruction booklets. Yeah, with the manuals, and I spent $80.
That is ridiculous because I walked out at my show. I walked out with 4, 5, 6 games, 4 of which were just the cartridges, 2 in box, 1 box that was advertised no manual, and I spent about $125.
Well, you clearly don't know how to shop like I do.
The dollar goes a long way out there in California. Yep. So.
Yes, it does. And then, at the same time, too, at the expo, I also got a bunch of cards from some of these guys because they have stores. So here's a place called Pixel Vault Games in Ontario, California.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And so they do buy, sell, and trade.
Very cool.
Which is really cool. This guy who I believe I bought the Top Gun Second Mission and WrestleMania from this guy called Lost Levels. He's in Fullerton.
Nice.
Which is really cool. And then he has another store in Diamond Bar called Super Video Game.
Okay.
And then outside of that, there was another guy there who I got his card called Fat Cat Games. But I think he's online only. So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was just amazing. I really, really wish my head wasn't so bad because I would have spent the entire day there. But I will say I was there for about 2 hours, and by the time it was around 12:30, there were so many people in there that it was way too hot. It was way too crazy. Yeah. So then I was very happy to duck out at that point. Although it would have been something like I said, I would have gone back the next day because it was $10 for one day, $15.
That's not bad at all. Holy cow.
To get in, and just walking around and just looking at all that stuff. And I'm sure if I looked around more, I would have found more games I wanted for sure.
Yeah, that's the problem. The more loops you do, yeah.
Yeah, there were a ton of games there. It's just that I wasn't willing to drop the money that they were asking for on that day. Right now, I was just let me just buy a bunch to get started. But they had the Adventures of Batman and Robin for $40 in the original packaging, and they had all nice. You name it, somebody had it there.
Was there anything there that was expensive where if you had the cash and you were able to drop it successfully, was there something there that was pricey that you would have liked to have picked up?
Yeah, definitely. I would have loved to have picked up Legends of Zelda and and Legends of Zelda 2 for NES. There were several people who had it there in its original packaging.
Nice. I know my show in box was $150, and it was nice.
Yeah, and I saw one. I think I saw one for $75, but the box was pretty damaged.
Oh, okay.
But then the rest of them were all $150 and over. The original Super Mario Brothers game, I saw in its original box going for $150.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Which I thought was interesting, considering that. I mean, obviously, that was probably the most common game of the NES.
Literally,
it came in every it came in every box. So yeah, I mean, there were. Trust me, there were a lot of games. If I just had a blank checkbook, I would have done some serious shopping.
I hear you on that one. Well, it sounds like a very successful outing there. What was that? What was that called again? The SoCal.
It was the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo, and I believe they were also going. I overheard somebody talking about it, and I didn't look it up online, but I think this weekend they were in Anaheim. So I think it's a traveling expo through SoCal, Southern California. So I'm sure I can run into it again.
All right, we'll post their website on the thing, so that works
Yeah.
out pretty well. Cool. All right. Well, that was fun, boy. These expos, there better be more of them. But for now, at least on Long Island, I think that's it. Well, there's one more somewhere.
Oh, wait. And one last thing before we start wrapping this up is I did at one point go looking for a Virtual Boy. Since I know you love Virtual Boy so much, and I will say that people did have it.
Okay.
I will also say that nobody bought them.
Well, because they were overpriced. That's why they were priced out of people's budgets.
No, I'm pretty sure you could have walked out. I bet I could have taken $20 and talked to somebody.
I think they were door prizes,
more or less.
All right. Well, let's cue it up and let's start to wrap this all up here. Well, it sounds like an awesome time, and as normal, thank you very much for downloading the show. You can find me on Twitter, more365.
You cannot find me on Twitter.
At Matsusu28. And check us out on the Facebook page. Anthony's going to put up the pictures and everything to show what else.
I'm going to put up some images, some images from the show, and me playing Miss Pac-Man.
Oh, sweet. Miss Pac-Man's awesome. All right. With that, folks, we're going to catch you next week. Catch you on the flip side.